with Mike and Billy.
Welcome back in, everybody. Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy. Sitting in the chair across the board here is the one and only Mr. Dave Schmandel. Again, a very happy birthday to Mr. Billy Gibbs, who's out in Scottsdale, Arizona, enjoying the weekend with his Delabi. Will be calling the second hour, and he's in Utah. Nikki will be calling the second hour. She's in Hawaii.
Grandpa Jim,
I know.
My goodness.
I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. We just we're going to talk about during the show New Year's, resolutions, and I looked up the definition of resolutions versus goals, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to the second half of the hour here with Delabi and even Nikki if she has time. But obviously, goals of professionals are probably touring professionals are obviously a lot higher than amateurs. Amateurs aspire to be professionals, but it's not going to happen. So one of the questions I thought of as I was looking up goals versus resolutions, and the definition of the two is, and it never occurred to me, I don't know why, but you have the experience, Dave, of fitting tour professionals. You have the experience of fitting long drive professionals. And I was wondering, when you fit someone like, say, Joe Golfer versus those pros, is the fitting process the same? And if it's not, how does it differ? And I've got your Woods and his fitting and what he goes through, and there's just some really interesting stuff in here that obviously if you had an amateur, you wouldn't talk about a lot of this stuff.
Very true.
Yeah. So I don't know what your thoughts are on it. If you might walk us through, if you have, if you got Nikki Anderson, she's an amateur, plays tournament golf, and then you got.
But very picky about her clubs.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's a bad example.
And so, that's part of the gig right there is how picky are you? I was talking about Jeff Sheets a little while ago with you that he ever played with in a tournament. And he said it was the easiest thing to build in the world. He said Arnie always played to the exact same specs, and he just put it together. Boom, about 4 minutes later, Arnie's hitting driver, and he shot 66 in the Bob Hope, and he was leading the first day. Then again, he fit somebody like Ray Floyd or Lanny Watkins, or the real feel players, and they look at clubs and they say it's not right, and you ask them why, and they go, it's just not right. And then you got to kind of work that out. It depends who you're working with on how you fit them and how exact you got to be.
So you bring up the point about what they feel, and those examples are touring pros. Are they really feeling what they feel, or is it just the perception? Like,
great question. Some of them, yes. Ray Floyd. I can't think of Nick Faldo. Both of them are just known for phenomenal feel in their hands, and they could tell a quarter swing weight difference or 64th of an inch difference as far as the length of the shaft and things like that. It's just almost superhuman. But most, no. In fact, pros that have been known to say, I will only play a forged golf club.
Yeah.
And they put forged and a cast club in their hands and have them hit balls with earplugs in. And they said they didn't feel anything different because most feel is sound.
It's funny you mentioned that because we had talked, I'm pretty sure it was you and I and Billy were talking about it on one of the previous Golf Talk radio shows. And I did that after we talked about it on the show. I did it with the kids from the first tee, the Birdie Eagle kids. So it's the teenage kids. And it was so funny because a lot of the kids, as they got done, they're like, I can see the ball. And it looks like you guys were talking about it, and you mentioned it at that show that what you hear translates into a good shot.
I teach a
And
lot of times by sound.
yeah,
I'm sure you do
yeah,
too.
I do too.
There's sometimes they just hit that one shot and you go, "That's it,"
Yeah, it's
and you can hear the pure golf shot. Yeah.
yeah, it's and right that happened to me yesterday. One person I was working with said, I just don't feel like I'm compressing the ball. I just don't feel like I'm compressing the ball, and I didn't go down that direction with him because I felt like that wasn't the way to go, and we just did some things that kind of changed the way the club angle was coming into the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden they see the ball and they're hearing the sounds. She goes, that's it. I got it. She didn't say anything about compression, but which was good. And so it was pretty neat. But when you go back to the club fitting again, and you talked about some of the pros, what about some of the guys you fit? Like even Rory, who's I'm sure you worked with him on his clubs.
Oh yeah.
And Rory was aspiring tour pro, and he's had his ups, he's had his downs, he's just like anybody. But how do you push him to the next level, and can you do it with the fitting?
We've done a few things.
Yeah.
We've shortened his drive. He's 6'7" or something like that, and we actually shortened his driver, and he started hitting it better. We did a little shaft change. Lie angles we've tinkered with a little bit. He's actually pretty easy to fit. He's just kind of a very comfortable with pretty stock numbers.
Yeah.
He's not outrageous in any special way, but he's actually pretty easy to fit. But I've fit other guys that are just, it takes forever to get through a fitting process. I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just the way it is. There's 17 parameters in a fitting.
Yeah.
Length and flex and on and on and on. And you got to look at those things with everybody. Now, how carefully do you look at all of them with all players? That'll vary.
So what's the number? Give me the top 3 things with an amateur that you're looking for out of those parameters, or or even the top 5.
Length, lie angles, shaft flex, loft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If you
standards.
got those 4 nailed, the others kind of fall into place pretty well.
They do.
You get those 4 nailed, and then it's a pretty good fitting. And then you go from there, and you really fine tune it after that. Yeah.
Where does when you do the fitting part, where does the grip size come into play in importance? Last.
And it always is. In fact, I saw an article written by. It is interesting because that's where you hang on to the golf club.
Yeah, that's surprising to me.
And in fact, I read an article by Golf Pride, and they were talking about. They even admitted that the last part of a fitting is the grip, and they're the people that make the most grips in the world. But look at fitting carts.
Yeah.
Do you have different size grips?
One of the carts does, but it's not
rare.
But it's not. It's just like the grips with the pegs, so they can hold them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's not actually on the club.
So they're not hitting balls with it.
Yeah. If you had those grips on every just think how many different shafts you'd have to have.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it'd be incredible. But that's really surprising to me because I know, at least from my personal experience, for me, and I could think of a lot of different people who have gone to different size grips because somebody told them so, as a buddy or whatever, said, hey, you really should do this.
Yeah, boy, that's a good one.
And their game just went into the drink because of the grip change.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's because of the grip or whether it's because it changed the entire feel of the golf club and the club head awareness and not knowing where the club head is during the swing, or it just throws their kinesthetic motion. It throws their kinesthetic their motion out.
Well, not only, and one thing very, very few people pay any attention to is the weight of the grip. Some grips are real heavy, 60, 70, 80 grams, and some grips are down to 20 grams. That's going to change the feel of the golf club by tons.
Oh, immensely.
Yeah. In the butt end of the club, every 4 grams is a swing weight. And so if you got like 20 25, 30 grams difference.
Yeah.
You got a really different feeling golf club. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of parameters just to this dang grip, and a lot of people don't realize that. You ask them what kind
They
of grip
don't.
they like, they go, I don't know.
They don't have a clue.
I got this one that came with it.
Yeah, I mean they don't have a clue, and like I
And
think what you said, which is again, it surprises me that grip size is the last thing, because like you said, that's the only part of you touching the club is your hands,
Yeah.
and that grip, you're only touching the grip, you're not touching anything else.
then they're using a synthetic grip, a rubber
Yeah.
grip, a leather grip, and is it going to be a wrap feel or so many different
And
things in a grip?
it's huge, and
Forward.
I would think too with guys who are pros, I mean I would think that would be equally important.
Oh, it is.
Like for them, like that to me, and again, I never fit a touring pro, but that to me, I would think those guys, unless for some reason they're not kinesthetic based, that would be up at the top on the fitting.
It is, but as far as in the order of what you do things, it depends what you got in your hands. You know, I have fitted people where I say, or I know going into it that the person needs a mid-size grip, let's
Yeah.
say, where I'll put mid-size grips on, 4 or 5 different shafts that I know we're going to tinker with. So, sometimes I'll have it set up ahead of time where we can do that.
Yeah,
But to come out with, undersized, standard, oversized, jumbo grip on every shaft, like you said, just the inventory you got to carry would be ridiculous.
yeah. Oh, so one of the things I was talking about this Golf Digest article on Tiger Woods when he was fitted, and one of the first things that Tiger Woods mentions that he's looking for when he's going through his fitting is his ball flight. And he says if his ball flight's not right, something is seriously, seriously wrong.
Yeah.
So his ball flight it sounds like is like number one.
That's what I've always said. People that fit with a launch monitor, and not knocking launch monitors by any means, but they go inside and they hit into a net and use a launch monitor. I just don't think you can get a good fitting doing that
Yeah.
because you do it.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of numbers in front of you, but boy, I want to see that ball in the air and see what it's doing.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. And then talking about again Tiger Woods, they actually, because he's now moved into the TaylorMade irons, he's gotten rid of, like you mentioned, what were the Nike irons.
Mm-hmm.
They copied the center of gravity location from his Nike set, and they're putting it into his special Tiger Woods model.
That's probably the exact same iron.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean that makes a lot of sense.
Because Nike did not make his clubs. Nike had those.
Yeah, you
clubs
told me
made
that.
By,
What company was made?
Miura, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Japanese company.
I remember you said that. So here's this is interesting, and you can compare this to maybe a amateur or whatever. He says they say Woods consistently hit the 6-iron in 195 yard range with 6,600 to 6,800 RPMs of spin.
Okay.
Is that standard?
That's a strong player.
Yeah.
That's a real strong player. Yeah.
What is an amateur? What's the spin rate of a typical amateur? Do you know?
55 maybe 100.
Wow.
Irons for somebody with a driver's swing speed of, let's say, 90,
Mhm.
pretty average. Irons are pretty easy to figure out. Multiply by 1,000. So if you got a 6-iron, 6,000. 7-iron, 7,000 RPMs.
Oh, interesting.
And that one it's kind of an easy one for a dummy
Yeah.
like me to figure out.
Oh, come on now.
But the stronger the player, the more spin they're going to get on the ball.
What does that do for a player with the spin?
Well, spin creates loft. Those little dimples on the golf ball are there for a reason. They give lift to the ball, and the more spin you got, the higher it's going to go. And that's just pretty much it.
It's so fascinating. Yeah, and it's because I'm reading the article as you're talking there, and they mentioned that he tried the new M3 driver with the twist face technology, which you brought me the printout. You were so kind of bring that where
That's pretty bizarre.
there's no bulge and roll on the face anymore. And
well, there is bulge.
I mean,
roll,
it has.
But it's not symmetrical by any
No,
means.
there's no. He said there's more, like you mentioned, there's more open on the high toe and slightly closed on the heel. And Wood said he doesn't notice the difference looking down at the driver, but he does
That's
notice that the amount of degree on the driver, which this makes a lot of sense to me, really helped him determine, like, well, this is too upright. This needs to be flatter. So, like, he was at a 9.5, he dropped to an 8, 440 size model on the Tour driver, and they went to 9 degrees. And because the 440 is a smaller head,
center of gravity is going to be lower.
and he said he loves it. So it's, you talk about the fitting. They start out with the standard 460. He's got it in his mind's eye, and what he's seeing, this isn't right. Like, this doesn't look right to me. And it's that's fascinating to me, because even the last set of TaylorMades that I just got, I tweaked them a little bit. I made them just a little more upright, and I love it for the short irons. I do not like it for the long irons. From my eye standpoint and everything, the way it sets up, it's just, but you're only talking like
lie angles don't have to be constant.
This might be a great example. Tour players, their lie angles tend to vary a lot.
Oh, you bet.
But I think for amateurs, even they get club fittings. A lot of the club fittings, they get a club fitting, and that lie angle goes through the set.
2 degrees upright.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
So there's a difference
between with every club, and see how they're bottoming out and adjust them accordingly.
Exactly. We're going to take our second break of the first hour here. Again, we got Dave Schmandl in the studio filling in for Mr. Gibbs. Again, Mr. Gibbs, happy birthday to you, my friend. We've got Dave Schmandl filling in very well for Mr. Gibbs. Got to thank McPhee's Grill of Templeton for sponsoring the show. It's mcpheesgrill.com, 805-434-3204. And also, don't forget, Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy is sponsored by Health IQ, an insurance company that helps health-conscious people like runners, cyclists, weightlifters, and vegetarians get lower rates on their life insurance. Go to healthiq.com/Golf Talk to find out your free quote or if you qualify today. We'll be right back. Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy right here on the Golf Talk Radio Network.